get the epoxy. What would that be called? Epoxy glue, maybe? So weird. Magnet epoxy. More woodworker, wood glue, I say. That's the way to go. Last. You know what? Wait. We're gonna super glue it. Super glue it, and then if that doesn't work, we're gonna re-scratch the surface and try it again. Okay. Yes. Yes. Good. And then it goes where? And then on which side? This side goes in there. So it's easier. That's not, I suppose. And that bound the hook. Standard test for smoothness. They're all parallel to each other, which means that good. I'll get it a little bit off. That's okay. Good. Do we draw that hole? Black stuff feels a lot more stronger. Let's now we have ourselves a guide. This mm. Mm. Where's my pencil sharpener? No, no matter. Sharpen that. It's another time. 4. Mhm. 144 times 4. 44 times 4 is what? 400 plus 600 total minus 24. 580 something. 100 here. Okay. If I and there was what? An inch and a half. And 52 and a half for 200 to times 4. 210. So 48. And the fridge is 36. 36 times 4. 120. 6 times 4, 24. 140. 144. So something's not adding up. Oh, and fruit is okay. Sorry, it's not big. That's good. That's cute. So current jobs. What are my current jobs? Yeah, yeah, everything that I could think of is I left it at home. I was working on it. I probably left it at home. Well, I guess we got to do some guesswork about the size of a fridge. Deep. Size. Three 33.66. For just some really expensive. Right. At this one it's 36. You said it's going to 36. Okay. That's that. Then most of the cabinets somewhat standard. Deep. 20 meters deep is. Let's call it 24 inches deep. So that's times 4, that's 96. 25 inches. Look at it, 25 inches for now. Rectangle. So we're gonna have to add different teeth to it. The stove, it's probably, what do we do for the stove? Stove is about 30 inches. And regardless of And the fridge goes out. 140. The fridge goes layout afterward there. 15 cents. This is supposed to be 576. 430. Doesn't look right. So the fridge does go out here. Okay. And sink. I have no information about the sink. Dishwasher is 24. 6 and the stove is 30. Let's say we call the sink 30 inches. Large sink. 18. Decent size sink, right? 30 inches. So that would make it 120. Sink itself would be 140 with paint. 140 is for 3 feet. Okay. Here, that gives inches here, and then we want to put the stove here. We want to go 15 inches. Wait, another 15 inches this way. Stove, and the stove is 30. That leaves here 15 inches from the corner. So stove starts here. And nobody's gonna use that space, but you're cooking, so 15 inches is snug, but the stove just starts here, so okay, I think that's gonna be okay. You can always shift it over and make this a nicer number. And did I note when the exhaust exhaust to be 62 inches. 62, that's 248. 48. Then put the exhaust here. Stove. There. That leaves me 90 divided by 2, 45 divided by 2, 22. 2 inches this way, and 86. 43, 20. Somebody's not updating up. 90 divided by 4. 92 divided by 4. That's 46, that's 23. And this way we have 86, 43, 21. That's together is 40. Okay, so I must have mislabeled this part, which is 120 square units. That makes sense. That's the stove, that's the exhaust. Yes. 36. 36, and we need 24 for dishwasher. Okay, so that will leave me with 12. Means we probably should shift the sink over to at least 18. While we shift the sink, we could go under the sink. Now let's see what the sinks look like. The 34, 30 to 34. I think it's 33. What do we have it here as 30? If we have it at 33, that's going to put us at 12 inches here. Okay, we may maybe put the trash can almost 13. And then we need to build the island. And the cabinets for the island need to be what? The island is presumably 3 by 7 feet, so 36 inches. We want an overhang. 4 inches overhang? 5, 6 inches overhang? We do 6 inch overhang with just regular cabinets. Vague, vague design for it. What's a good space to walk through? How much space do you need to let these two people squeeze by? 40 inches? .48? Call it 40 inches for now. So, 7 feet. Seventy 84. It's 84 inches times 4, 78 inches times 4, 32, 6. So it's going to be about there. Yes. Hey, darkness. You show up like you are in a different time zone. My sleep strategies. That would be one way to put it, yes. Oh, yes. Flooring part. If we buy. Oh, yeah, well, that makes a lot more sense. And I don't know if you can call it a schedule if it's that chaotic. Or behind. I never know if it's ahead or behind when people talk about. Ah, well, if you have gaming friends to run that time zone, great. No, no, it is what it is. Either that or you're living in Hawaii and you have to wake up, you know, at what 2 o'clock in the morning for the stock market. So go figure. Only 3 hours. How? You mean 13 hours? Like I'm 12 to 13 hours to Europe. 23 means he would be. It cannot be 23 because the time zone change is 2 hours away from me. So it's either 22 hours, right, or two. There's no 23. Oh, it's AM and it's 6 p.m. here, so it's 13 hours, not 23. 23 is not possible. The time change zone, that the time, the day switch over zone is in the Pacific that way. So not whatever, it's there. So to be 23 hours behind means he would be ahead, which means he would be on the other side. It's not possible. I'm smart like this. I know stuff. Mm, 4, 8. Very, very generous. Let's go. We get 2 quarter times 230. So the first thing is that I started was I've been asked to estimate and work out a plan for a kitchen, right? So that's the first thing. It's not very visible because it's kind of thin line, but the idea is fridge, cabinet, sink, lazy Susan corner, stove, and I just have to figure out how much plywood I would need to get to buy it, and how many hinges and whatnot. So that was the first one, and the second one is part of the hardwood floors need to be replaced, and the contractor wants to strip the other old white oak flooring and slap a piece of plywood on top of it and call it a day. And I'm against putting a piece of plywood down and then going back and attaching vinyl or those cheap planks just to cover it. And so I took one of the old supplied hardwood billets, I guess you can call them, and I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, well, the cabinets at least, right? I'm a woodworker. I don't do the electrical. I just build cabinets. So, I went to my supplier, figure out how much wood is. So right now I'm calculating how many of those can I actually make. If I buy wood in these. Actually, hang on, where's my face? I used to have a face somewhere here. Maybe it didn't populate. Oh, I guess. It looks like my OBS is about to shut down. I wonder why. If I had to guess. Well, either way, so I don't see myself. I mean, I'm still live, so I guess. But I buy wood in this form, and unfortunately, this nowhere near has the right dimensions. Like if I buy a 3-inch piece, then this is, there's waste over on the side. But by a 2-inch piece, I'll have to align them sideways like this. So I have to figure out how much wood vaguely is going to give me how many of those, bigger, smaller, which means how much square footage can I cover with these. And I have to cover at minimum, if the plan goes through, at minimum I have to cover a small bedroom at 140 square feet. So I'm trying to, figure out what can I do about it. This is 3/4 inch thick. The material is obviously bigger and blah blah blah. It's just, it's gonna be waste somewhere. So I figured that if I buy 1-inch thick, uh, 1-inch thick, 6 inches wide, and 10 feet big piece of oak, that's gonna give me about 3.6 square feet. Our apartment is 300 square feet, and that's bathroom, kitchenette, all the living space. 300. It's smaller than my shop by a lot. Yeah. This is 5 board feet. 5 board feet gets me about 3.6 square feet of flooring. So if I need to get ballpark, call it we lose half. We call it we lose half, then we need to half, and I need to cover 140. That means I need 280 board feet. 280 board feet times 5 plus tax. 28 times 5 is 140. Right? That's $1,500 in wood. Hey Jen. So if I'm milling these myself out of 4/4 red oak, and assuming 50% loss, which is probably not a horrible assumption, I would need $1,500 of red oak. Let's cover that one. So 1,500. I have 14. I have 140 square feet, and it's going to cost me about 1,500. So that's what? It's $10 a square foot. About. Oh, yeah, well, doesn't feel like a birthday. I got up in the morning and I've been running, and then I got to the shop at 3, and then it took me 2 hours to just unwind after a whole day, and then we're back to paperwork. Yeah, that's good. Actually, I'm thinking. If I align these this way, right? You know, what? How about I come to you guys and I will talk to you about this, so I don't sound crazy when I'm talking to myself. But say we order 1 inch wood, right? And I want to make these. I would cut them like this, right? So out of this, I can probably get two. Maybe it needs to be a little bit wider, but I can get two, right? So, and the waste comes from the fact that I have to just remove this flat surface across the whole thing, right? So that's waste, about 25% to be exact. The other option is I could, instead of something thin, I could buy something thick and then align the pieces this way rather than having them horizontal. Again, we lose a little bit here, but this is much lower percentage of the whole height, right? Because this is 2.5 inches and this is 3 inches. So I would lose, I'll call it, I would lose half an inch, right? Half an inch out of 3 inches is 1/6, where if I'm cutting from an inch to 3/4, right, I'm losing 25%. So maybe that's the way we should. But the downside is 3 inch or 12/4 materials is more expensive. Call it $6 a board foot. I'm going to guess here. To call tomorrow. Say we use 12/4 red oak. Let's call it 3 inch thick, right? Which call it $6 a board foot. If it's $6 a board foot, then I can make these pretty precisely depending on the width. So call it we go and go with a 6-inch wide piece that is 10 feet because that's how they come. Call it 6 inch. Out of a 6 inch, how many of those can I cut? Assuming I'm going to be very precise. Say every cut takes 1/8 of an inch off, right? So call it 7/8. So I need to waste about 7/8. I need about 7/8 of material to get 3/4. 7/8 in 6 inches. 6 times 8 is 48. 48 divided by 7. That's 6. That's okay. Okay. So maybe we need a 7-inch piece. 7-inch piece, 7 times 8, 56, 60. We get about 8 pieces. So one of those gives me 8 3/4 ones by 2.5 by 10 feet. Gives me 80 linear feet of this 3/4 by 2 and 80 feet. Okay, we're gonna lose because every time we cut and groove it, we lose material. So 80 feet. 80 feet times 12. That's 960 inches. Say we lose 5%, about. That puts us at 910 feet. Sorry, 910 inches. 910 times 2.5. That's 212, 2,280 square inches divided by 144. That's 15.8 square feet. 15.8 square feet. Right? And then 2 times 7. And so 17.5 board feet gets me about 15.8 square feet. And here we had what? What was the conversion? 5 board feet gave me 3.6. Yeah, so it's definitely better to go with this. Okay. 15.7. And let's call it it's $6 a board foot. So this single board is going to be $105. And 105 divided by 15.8 is it's about $6.6 a square foot. So $6 a square foot, $7 a square foot. Well, no, I just want to propose. So there is this project that was that needs help. My father-in-law is renovating a house, and kitchen needs to be renovated, and that renovation means every single cabinet and appliance and everything got ripped out of the walls. And so now, the questions of how to put things in. And the kitchen, according to my notes, is I don't tell the truth. The kitchen is about 12 by 8. And so you need to make an L shape arrangement and put an island in. So this is what the kitchen will look like after I'm done with it. Right. The problem arises that this space, right? We have to somehow work. Right. Can you guys see? Yeah. Okay. Good. So, question is, this space needs to be, proportionate. We cannot put the island too close. That's one. Two is the fridge sticks out because fridges are deeper than cabinets. Cabinets are about 2 feet. A counter over whatever, but the fridge is about 3 feet, so there's a foot. So this space becomes an issue, right? And then you have to put the sink and the stove and whatnot. So that's project number one. And since I do woodwork, I get asked the question. The other part is the floor is an old wooden house, and the floor got chewed up by termites in a bunch of places. Living room, all the bedrooms have missing, holes. Pretty much you can see through. Hawaii is warm, so the fact that you can see through the walls and floor and so the problem we got to talking is hardwood floor in the living room when you enter the big foyer. Well, the problem is there needs to be a post supporting the roof, but I can pitch the lockable wheels too. For now, I think they want it. Again, I'm not worried about the top, the granite, whatever. I just have to build the cabinets, which, as you can see, I've built a couple smaller ones and whatnot. So the plan is, because the main room looks really awesome, it would be nice to put hardwood floors in the main main living room. It's a big area, big area. So one of the ideas was to tear up the floor in one of the bedrooms, remove the white oak panels, and put them in the living room. You know, trying to make so much. And there's a contractor that wants to do it, or got asked to do it, or is getting paid to do it. Again, not my circus, not my monkey. But that contractor wants to tear up the floor and then slap a piece of plywood on it, treated plywood, hopefully, and then glue. My father-in-law is going to glue on some of that thin vinyl, plasticky wood imitation flooring. Aside of my sensibilities being hurt, which are not issue because again not my thing, is I would like to help build the wood floors because I think wood floors are better. They have better resale value. They have better rent out value. Little plastic things, or God forbids that painted cardboard, the brown cardboard that just you spill a glass of water and the whole thing balloons. Floors is better. And oak is pretty resistant to termites, so you spray it, you lay it, whatever. So these. The problem is these are no longer sold in Hawaii. For some reason, they stopped making them, started importing them, and those are these kind of floor billets which have a tongue and groove on sides, and then a little loops. I'm assuming those are for glue. And and I said I would be happy to make some of those. Now again, some of it I want to do as a member of the family, and some of it, like materials, is going to be covered from some kind of a budget. Well, the money part is, again, I don't like money as we discussed, so I'm not worried about it terribly. I mean, everybody else is worried, so I should be worried because everybody's worried and you're not worried. They know something you don't. But the point being is, I said I am going to take a peek and see how much it costs. And so I need to make these objects. For all intents and purposes, this object is about 2.5 inches by 3/4 at various lengths. Like I have a whole list of different lengths here, and they range from 13 inches to 64 inches. Whatever. The point being is the object is 2.5 by 3/4. Wood doesn't come in those dimensions. That's one. And wood comes rough. My wood, as you guys have seen and we talked about it ad nauseum at this point, comes in these kind of things. That's a 12-foot monster I want to do stuff with, but it comes in these things, right? Or here that's going to be a good thing. I'm gonna bring the camera down and see if we can if yeah, my OBS is starting to crap out, which is great. But we are still streaming, so let's see. Need to run the application on this. Maybe it's my mouse that's being stupid. And then we have to zoom out because of the yesterday's zoom in here. So, all right, let's pop in. So my wood comes in, that's a cutoff, but it comes in pieces that look like this, right? They either have 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch thickness. Four is a specialty item, right? So they come in pieces like this. That's poplar. It's like a greenish wood, but whatever. It comes in this. And so I have some choices to make, right? If I do this way, it's a 2 inch piece, right? That's one, that's two, and I have half an inch of waste this way. But I cannot do it this way. Now, on the other hand, if I take a look at example of this monster, it's 3 inches thick, which means I could mount these pieces this way. And then I lose half an inch across 3 inches, I lose half an inch here. And then I could just go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, right? And those are the two calculations I did. And so the first calculation was, we take a piece 1 inch by 6 inches by 10 feet, which is 5 board feet, right? And 5 board feet, because wood is bought by volume, right? So board feet is important. Board feet, as a reminder, is 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 inch, right? So we take this. From this, we can make probably about 19 feet, 2.5 inches by 3/4, right? So the 6 gets turned into 2.5. We have a little bit of waste, right? Because that's 5. 2.5 times 2 is 5. Plus we lose a little bit to cut the wood, and then we lose the 1/4 inch from 1 inch to 3/4, right? And so we do the calculations, and we get that from 5 board feet, we get about 3.6 square feet of these. And I mean, again, I'm looking at this at the flatness because we know that the thickness is going to be 3/4 of it. And then so I do a calculation that if I want to cover 140 square feet of this stuff, I lose about half of the material, right? 5 to 3.5, call it half of the material, which means that I would need to get twice as many board feet. So I would need to get 280 board feet. Right? 280 board feet at $5 a board foot is about $1,500. 280 board feet times 5, so 1,400. But whatever. That's 1,400. So I have $1,400 to cover 140 square feet. So it's about $10 a square foot. So that's this. Now, mind you, when you look at in the store, the plastic paneling for the flooring, according to my trip to the local place. Let's see, do I have a picture of it? I don't have a picture of it, but according to my notes, the flooring. Where's it? Flooring is about $2.50 a square foot. You can get it cheaper, you can get it more expensive, but it's about $2.50 a square foot, right? So the difference between this and this is $7.50 a square foot, right? Across 140 square feet. So that's a lot of money. It's 750 times 140. That's $1,000 of money. No, the plywood is, if we are looking at cabinet plywood, right? So this kind of plywood, not treated, not nothing, 3/4 of an inch thick. The cheap side is about $60. $60 for what? Well, $60 for a sheet that is 4 by 8 feet. So that's 40. Well, that's 32 feet, square feet. Right? So 140 divided by 32. So you're gonna need about 4.5 feet, or we can look at it differently. It's 32 square feet for on the low end. It's about $60, which means that it's $2 a square foot, right? Which means that this is $5.5 more expensive than running a piece of plywood, right? Again, we're ballparking here, right? Because it's $60 a sheet. You need call it 5 sheets, so that's $300. It's $700 difference for that one room for just materials, and I still have to make this, right? But I have to cut groove on one side, the little tongue on the other, right? Cut the ends, maybe put these things. I think these are for glue, but I still have to manufacture these. So there is it's $5.5 more expensive plus labor, right? And my time has so I said, well, how about instead of a thin piece, we look at one of those thick pieces like this bastard, right? That thing, maybe not 12 feet tall, but 10 foot. So the second calculation was, say we have a 3 inch thick, 7 inches wide, 10 feet long one, right? Again, red oak. I'm thinking the price is going to go up. Call it $6 rather than 5, because the thicker the material, the more expensive it is. And so this gets me about 17 and a half board feet times 6, so that's about $105 for one of those sticks. But one of those sticks will produce eight 3/4 inch by 2.5 inch, because I will cut them out of a piece like this. I'm going to cut them vertically, right? And this is just going to be shy of it. Again, I'm assuming perfect conditions. There has to be 30 to 50% margin added to it, whatever. And so I can get 8 of those, right? 8 of those, that gets me 8 times 10 gets me about 80 linear feet, which times 2.5 gives me about 960 square inches. Again, I'm assuming 5% of it gets lost because we have to cut down pieces because things are not aligning, whatever. So call it 910 square inches. No, sorry, wrong. We turned the 80 feet into linear inches. We reduce by 5%, and then we multiply by 2 and a half. That gets me 2,280 square inches, which is about 15.8 square feet. And so, looking at it, 17 board feet gets me about 15.8 square feet, which brings the total cost of just the wood to about $6.60 per square foot, down from 10. Right? And again, we can do the calculation that if we take $2 or $2.5 for the flooring, that puts it at 4. We take $2 off for the plywood, and that leaves you with $2 a square foot more. So that's $300 more. It will cost you $300 more to get full hardwood floor versus a piece of plywood and then a piece of plastic. And $2 a square foot for materials one could sell. The question is how much labor it's going to take. because to cover 140 square feet, right? 140 square feet, that times 12, that's feet and inches, right? And then divided divided by 2.5. That gets me 672 feet of this stuff. Yeah, but so I have to, get 700 feet of this. And this is just over a foot. I think this is about 13, 14 inches. I need to get 700 of these done. Cut on one side, cut on the other. Is moved out of the place. You mean the ants got to it? But so that's my thing. But how do I do it? Again, the contractor. I think the contractor feels like I'm coming there to steal the money from him somehow. But whatever. I'm happy for him to do all the work. Like I don't particularly want to steal anybody's work. But the point being is, material wise, this is $2 more expensive. This is $300 more expensive. And then question how much time it was going to take. And just I don't know. I have to run the thing through the jointer first, right? To get the two edges. I can start cutting it because I don't need all the edges to be straight. I just need two sides, right? So then I can lay it down and cut these, so I don't worry about this side because I can just cut things out like this. And then I don't worry about this side because once I router this, I will router this out, right? So I can trim it afterwards. So I'm not worried about. So I have to run it through the joint. I don't have to run it through the plane. And then I have to slice it. I have to slice. You said what? 700 feet. 700 feet of this stuff, which means that if my block is 10 feet long, right, 10 feet long, then I need to run 70 times, and so it starts being a lot. Yeah. No. Oh, yeah, expanded and then shrank. So this is this kind of calculation just to do. Oh, and then when I have the camera, I will show you the thing that I did. So that right, that's the general setup. There's the island, it will go out to about this much, and there's the fridge, and it will go out about this much, and then cabinets, two cabinets, possibly a dishwasher, cabinet underneath the sink, some kind of a lazy Sudan, which is like the door needs to open wider so the corner is used. Then the stove, and then another cabinet, and then cabinets on top of that. But I talked to my guy at this, and he said that I could try to go with like the maple 3/4 inch cabinet grade plywood, but it's about $110. Or I could go with imported birch plywood, and that stuff, from my understanding, will look like will look about like this. Not too many layers, but a nice thing. And that's about $60 a sheet. And then finished one. Do I have a finished piece here? No, I thought I had a finished piece here somewhere. Oh, these guys. Yeah. And that's what the finished piece would look like. It has this kind of a glossy thing finished. So all I need to do is cut, groove, and whatnot. These are half an inch rather than 3/4, but the only thing I have to do is this part, which is the laminate, which covers this ugly side. So there's two ways to do it. One is I could put a laminate on it, and the laminates, I had laminates here somewhere. I had some old laminates somewhere here. Whatever. One of the places to put the laminate, and you have to glue it and press it and whatnot. There's machines that do it. And the other one is to do it fancy, and that's do this set. So you toss it on a router, you run this bit through first, and that creates this kind of a triangular indent in the plywood. Which, let's grab here. I have a thicker piece of plywood, it might be easier to see. So the first one is, it grooves out this kind of weird valley thing in the plywood. And then I run this piece across a piece of hardwood. Right? Across a piece of hardwood. And that leaves me that little tongue thing. And then I can stack them together. So rather than gluing this plasticky, somewhat weird thing, it will just have a little, 1/4 inch or half an inch piece of hardwood around it. A lot fancier, a lot more time, but a lot fancier, and I think it will last a lot longer. So, because again, you're looking at plywood, right? There's this laminates, and and to get such a good glue up, you need to put a lot of pressure on it, right? And this is not pretty. But if we could put, but mahogany, maple, maybe walnut, or even poplar, right, which is this cheap hardwood, or oak. Red oak is super cheap right now, and you're seeing here a collection of red and white oak. So, for example, this piece. It's both oaks, right? That's red oak, right? That's white oak. Close enough. Do I have something better to show you? Oh, here. I think, right, that's red oak. That has a slight tint to it. And that. And that's white oak. Right. So you have this slight difference in color. White oak is more resistant to water, like mildew and bugs and whatnot. The downside is it's not $5 a board foot, it's 12. So it's more than 2 times more expensive. So, and this little fucker is ash, and that's a whole different conversation. With a little spalting, it's a lovely board. Thanks. So, right, so that's where we are right now. Just trying to sort out if this is even economical. I don't know what the budget is, right? And birch is a very nice wood. And again, you open this stuff doesn't look great. Like, you can right away tell that this is not. Nobody cares on the inside, but this is rough. This is called raw, right? Versus that slippery thing. You know, same with the drawers. Like you look at it on top, well, it would be nice if this was covered one way or the other. Again, that's going to be a lot more work. But if I settle on one supplier for the plywood, this is all half an inch, 3/4 somewhere. I'm sure that the one that this has this nice finish. That's maple, but you when you have a nice finish on top, you don't have to paint. It just gets. There's nothing else to do to it. It's slippery. It's whatever. Just this edge thing, and then of course the doors, right? And I'm thinking shaker style doors, which are the doors which have a base, two verticals, then just slap that thing in there. Yeah, well, obviously it's my workshop, so that's why I have things out of MDF here and mismatched plywood and whatnot. But oh, this, and this is all different plywoods. But yeah, well, it works for little things. Again, this would be nice to cover, and that's an idea. And that's the big thing. Took about 3 sheets of plywood to make this. And it's all hanging on French cleats, which is absolutely amazing. Like there is no bolting it, no nothing, and the whole thing is just stable. And then I have this, thin plywood for inserts and whatnot. And I have some treated plywood. This is what my shop looks like. Dust collection, the big one. That was at some point I streamed how I was putting it up. Of course, nobody saw it, which is great, but that's a heavy. And then I make sure that its air is healthy, so I have a meter here, and it works because if I blow on it, right, it captures the vapor in my breath and all the dust and whatnot, spikes. Eventually, it will settle down. That's how I know, to make sure I have a mask. The moment it starts turning yellow, I go like, okay, well, time to get a mask. And I have to figure out what to do with this walnut. And then all my jigs. And then I have boxes of wood. There's boxes of wood there, there's boxes of wood there. There's a bucket full of wood there. Yeah. While we are doing grand tours, I want to big machine. Glass jealousies because these suckers are made from asbestos, so that's great. But this is what I was thinking about making at some point. Oh, can I reach it again? Is these type of pencils. Turn a couple of these guys. Now this is hard to tell for the size. And I have a thicker one too, but I just grabbed this one. For comparison, that's the size of a regular pencil. Focus. Focus. Yeah, so return a couple of these, but that's on my list of things to do. This is going to happen right after I finish building these. And again, I'm very proud of this one. I need to make 3 more. So yeah. Oh, you're saying, ooh, let me grab the other one. Those are called workshop pencils or sketch pencils. Thank you. That's the other one. Let's see. And then no, no, it's let's see comparison of pencils. This one out. This came out from me. So like, you know, monster. And it's not that ridiculous amount of wood. I feel mildly offended by your comment. Not that. You know, the mahogany you saw about. The plywood I will go through because each cabinet takes about, each one of those boxes takes about a sheet. So, you know, there's some sheet. That's dust collection. There's some termite treated plywood here I'm saving for other things. There's some small pieces up there. So yeah, that needs to be doing. There's some, you know, the colorful things that we used. Those are cut-offs. So those are nothing. There's some collection of wood here, right? But again, it was maple. There's some red oak that, remember when I was trying to make I was talking about making a door out of red oak, so that's the door. But it just came out to be, oh, I found my laminates. I just have to figure out how to glue them up. Again, usually machines and whatever. Plexiglass, whatever. Thin veneers. Those are drawers. I'm keeping them. I got them from a dumpster dive, so again, just, those are all thin cut-offs for like side projects. Then there's the stool I need to finish. That's a job. A couple more. There's some smaller pieces down there. Right, that's my shop. Dust everywhere. Oh. And then I have to, for my own sake, I want to refinish this. That's a whole different project. The Go board. Yeah. The other half of the chessboard right now lying on the side. More little pieces of plywood. Let's see here. That's masks. Oh yeah. While I have you, that's right. That's the router table I built out of 3 different pieces. You know, the things here, and then the whole thing. You guys seen this before, but what I did now is I added. If you look inside, I added a little opening here, right? So when you look inside, you can actually unplug this cable. So the cables are in there. So I don't have to next time I have to replace this, I won't have to, you know, redo the whole thing. It's a little dusty, which means the dust collection isn't collecting as much thing. It's a little dusty, whatever. So that was the whole rebuild. So storage everywhere. Doesn't have 8. And then, you know, little accents because the wood stuff, so you gotta put these things. Yeah. I still have to flatten it, right, because it's curved. It's on my list. And the guy that taught me how to turn things, how to turn pens and whatnot, and how to turn pens and bowls, and kind of kept me excited about wood things. That guy has recently died, so that's that was last week, so that was kind of extra. But he gave me a set of Go pieces too. Thank you. It's okay. I mean, again, he was a weird character. I mean, he was living on borrowed time. When I met him, he would have been dead when I met him. And then, he kept on being. And eventually, borrowed time runs out. So, yeah, it is what it is. But I glued this together. So yesterday's job is done. Now we have this. Again, that will work with this cheap plywood, which is 23/32, but not with the other plywood, which is 18 millimeters, imported Baltic Church. So I think it's important from Europe, could be from somewhere else. Oh yeah, it's good. Right, well, we did the calculations. That's good. I will have brain space for later. So now we just have to figure out how to make this efficiently. All the holes are easy to make. With those, I can run on a router or the table. So I just gonna have to make for this project. I have to for the cabinet project. I have to sit down, write out all the cabinets, figure out how many hinges, how many drawer slides, how many handles I need to get, how many doors I need to make, and so on and so forth. Then once I have that, figure out how much wood I need for all the boxes and whatnot, and laminate glue or extra things to finish it, and then that plus the sketch of the layout, which apparently I'm doing. I'm going to submit to my father-in-law so he can give it to the contractor. They can figure out if there's anything missing from it, and then I'm going to get a thumbs up. Then I'm going to submit an invoice for at least money to cover the wood delivery. I'm going to schedule the wood delivery for a week and a half from now, and then and then that's that. For the floor, I'm gonna do the calculation at home again, redo it, make sure that I didn't miss anything. I'm gonna have to estimate how long it takes me to make one of these. And I don't know how long it takes me to make one of these, because again, I won't be doing it knee long. I'll be doing it 4 or 5 feet long at a time, right? And if I'm doing 4 or 5 feet at a time, then I can just, run it through one at a time, groove, do all the grooves at the same time. I mean, we did that for the benches, picnic benches, right? So that's a lot faster. Get the wood, mill it, which means flatten it and cut it into these, and then just run them. And hopefully they don't warp too much. I mean, it's a hardwood, so that should be fine. But I just have to put a number on how long it does take me to make this at mass. And again, why do we need at mass? Well, because we need to make 700 feet of these. If it's going to take me 10 hours, well, then it's 10 hours added to the cost of the thing. So about $1,000 is added to that. That's about how much it costs, right? And then I will do all the other things like grooving the hardwood in or whatever. I'm doing that on my own time because I want to make it pretty. Because it comes out of my shop. It needs to exceed expectations, not match, exceed expectations. So grooving of the wood in there, that's going to take me weeks at a time. That's on me. Doing paneling, that's on me. Doing little trims and moldings, and I have a bit for that, right? gives this kind of extra shape to things. Like that's on me, but I just have to figure out the basics of it, and I have to figure out if that number makes sense to me. And then, yes, again, I don't like doing business with friends and family. You either are friends or and family, or your business. And when it's business, it's ones and zeros. And when it's family, you don't. I try not to make it about money. So it's yeah adds to the whole complication part. Right. So that's one, and that's going to get added on my list, and that's going to be probably QQ30, the 30th invoice. I still haven't figured out a good way to do invoices, so I have to do those because I need to start moving things out of my shop. So I have to get the invoices done. We could probably do them right now and just be done with it. How many? I have 3 invoices to be done, and I have to get the quote done. So that's on the list. I have to. Do I have a design anything? The cutting board still is drying. I checked on it last night. Still restoration. I'm still working on it. I'm not going to worry about that. I should probably reach out to this client. They've been good to me, but and I have to reach out to this. Okay, so there's a couple of things on the docket that just require me to sit down with the CNC and work. So we have to design the lectern too. Should we do that? Should we design a lectern right now, or what times? It's 7:20. I mean, we do have some little bit of brain space left, so you know, maybe we could do some designing while we at. I don't hear a note. So. Okay. Well, in that case, let's design the lectern so I can add that that to the list of quotes I need to send out. I really want to build this, the dodecahedron thing. Really exciting project. And then invoices. By the way, if you don't get an invoice from me by tomorrow, please, you know, harass me. I would tell the same to Darkness, but she is not. I haven't seen her in chat in a second, so she's probably killing stuff. Who am I to interfere with a woman's ability to murder things? Right. Let's design a lectern. Would you like the camera to be closer so you can actually see? Would that be of interest to you, or are you okay sitting far away from the action? You're like, I'm done. No more. No more. Can't handle maths. The power cord. So it's well, sure, but you know, once you get past that, it's imperial units. It gets it's okay, right? The main part is getting the main numbers okay. Once you get the main numbers okay, the rest of it is just gonna, yeah. It's a me, it's a me kind of problem, not a you kind of problem when it comes down to uh, specifically, is it uh, you know 3/8 or whatever. Oh, and then I got an inquiry for 11 replicas for a racing canoe. So that's on the list of things to look at. All right, let's pop this. I got used to having only one headphone in and actually hearing what's going on in the shop. It's weird. Right, where's my here it is. By the way, if you ever shop at AliExpress, I highly recommend getting yourself some of these clamps. Actually, pretty good. As you can guess. Oh, I can get a preview finally. And shift. All right. Do we have a preview? Yes. Here. Yeah, now I can see myself. So, if you ever get, oh, I need to make it all remote. So knockoffs, but if you get yourself these guys, that's pretty good. I mean, they fall apart, but they're cheap enough to do it. And then you have like these types of clamps, bigger, smaller, different ones. Like, but the whole thing is held by these kind of things. Not all of them are good, but they're pretty decent otherwise. I'll put you over here. Yeah, it's actually a table. And again, they hold well enough. Yeah, I don't expect fireworks, but and then the software is pretty decent for using it with the phones. Although they keep on insisting I buy their paid version. There's this. Camera is about close enough. Right. So that's my note. Old calendar. So, oh, by the way, before I go, you know how I know how much that I work too much? I have a little calendar saying when I come in and when I leave the shop, or when I actually work on things. So 7 o'clock in the morning, 9:25, 12 to 10, 10 to 10, and so on and so forth. That's how I know I work too much. It's self-incriminating data. Right, so lectern. That's the design. It needs to be realistic in the way it looks. I'll put the rest of it away just in case the marker is see through. I'm gonna grab myself a chair. I do like the fact that with this camera, the other one is still recording, so you get to still. You attempt. So that's the basic. All right. So where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the top, the bottom, or the middle? I'm gonna move you guys over here so you guys see it from the same angle as I do. How do you design usually furniture? we're going to do top, bottom, or the middle. Oh, oh. So tough. Okay. Well, because we can flip a coin about it. Wait, 0 given coin. That's how I flip and decide what we're going to do. Improvise. Okay. So we are starting with the top. Right. So this part. So the top. If we are thinking about the lectern, we have to consider a couple things. One is there needs to be a reading space, right? So there needs to be something they can put things on. There should be some lighting, and I would like to put some storage in. So if you're thinking about the lectern, I'm thinking we will have undescribed angle here that will produce a reading surface for us. There is going to be a small lip up front, and that is going to give it both roundness, so when you get to the lectern you are not hitting something sharp, because the last thing you want to do is hit a sharp corner, plus something to this, and we're going to make sure this is really solid with the rest of it. Right, so we're going to have this. Then we want to include some form of lighting, right? So we need some kind of a source of lighting in there, right? And then we want to make sure that whatever you're reading is protected from outside sources, which means that we probably want to create a little something like this on the side of it. Okay? And then not too tall, right? So this has some maximum where the barrier becomes too big. Okay, but we want something here to protect your notes from the drafts, from the onlookers, whatever. So that's that. So that's the main piece, is this, in some kind of a position. I'm thinking we're gonna put a hinge on this, so we can lift it up and there's extra storage here. Now the storage, we could put the storage flat, but if you put it flat, things might end up rolling here if the whole thing gets tilted, things might. So we might put this at a slight angle, right? So the angle is bigger than 0. Right, so it's so we have this slight angle here, and then we have a larger angle here. So that's one. And so if you open this up, there is some storage. We're gonna have to worry about this element, and we're gonna get there in a second. And then the second thing we want to do is, I think we want to put a secondary storage underneath the whole thing. A little, maybe an 1.5 inch thing that you can slide a piece of paper in there or something, right? Something extra. Maybe keep a spare Bible in there or something. And this section, I'm thinking 1.5 to 2 inches. I'm thinking 2 inches is a lot of space right? Even this thick thing is an inch and it's under an inch and a half. So you can see as well. No, I can't see. I have to put it. Right, which means we have to get the camera up and away. This way I'll be able to. So yeah, we have an inch and a half of thickness, and that's a pretty thick. That would be a pretty thick book. So 2 inches, I think, is plenty. All right, so that's that. And so right, so we have three things to consider. One is the size of the outside. Two is this whole thing. Three is this. Are we putting anything underneath? Right? And then we have this 4 asterisk thing, and the 4 asterisk thing is important because we need to make sure that the wood closes without leaving gaps, right? So we most likely are going to need a situation where we have a rounded outside as we planned, right? And then a straight angled dip, right? And then the rest of the piece. And then the secondary piece is going to come in like this here. Okay. Now, this is problem solving itself. We put anything in here, it slides in here, it goes back and forth. So I guess we're going to expand it up. This, and then rather than having this element here, we're going to move this whole thing down here. So round up, give it a little curve, and then have the rest of the piece here. So our actual piece is going to look like this. And then instead of this, we're going to have this, right? And then that's the lip that's going to close. And whatever we put in here, you know, it's not going to be affected by things sliding and blocking this. Plus, this gives us a lot more space. And I think at this end, an inch to an inch and a half is probably more than enough. Again, for paper size, an inch, right? These are half an inch. The thick markers, right? Half an inch. A calculator, you know, inch and 3/4 of an inch, right? So you have a lot of space here, and then obviously you're gonna have a lot more space in the back because this is at some lingo call it beta. So this is beta. And again, this roundness will prevent things from sliding off, but when you lift this, it doesn't have anything extra to it. You just have this kind of slippery things. And then I can make this weird shape. I'll probably end up making it out of just a simple board like this with a heavily rounded and then indented up this way, and then a little notch. We have a little notch here and a little notch here. That's going to give us the feeling of this being kind of a separate bulby roundness, right? This kind of curve right here, and then this is going to give us a place. It's going to give us a place to put in this, right? And then mounting it. I'm assuming we're going to mount it in something like this. You don't see the seam. The seam is going to be hidden. Well, this looks complicated, but eventually this is a, you know, that's what it's going to look like, right? And I want this to be visible and this not to be visible. So we do it like this, right? And then you just carve, glue this in. You know, put maybe something here to connect this, but that's about it. Like that's all there is. Just, you know, that. And then all this round the both corners, right? That's easy. And then put a little groove down here, right? So this feels a little separate. And again, putting a groove down here, this is just running a router bit through it. This we can round with a router bit. Let's see, I can grab some router bits. And so this sucker is going to round the top. That solves that problem. And then I have one here somewhere. Sure, why not? And then anything like this is just gonna run across, and it's done. And we're gonna make it thin, and it's or we can just grab it with a sandpaper and just roll it up. So this is not an issue. This connection might be a little bit, but this connection is also going to be supported by something closing it from this side, right? So this is not this and this. This is this and this, and then eventually there's going to be this, right? So point of contact, point of contact, point of contact, all of it glued together. So it looks complicated, but the idea is how do you mix both kind of aesthetic and functional things with structural things, right? And same thing with the hinge, right? Let me grab the box we just made, the test box we made yesterday. So the test box, right? Again, it's not glued, right? It's kind of, that was the idea, right? That opens wrap. That was our one piece, a little bit of dust, but like that. Great, right? Now the hinge. We could put the hinge outside, or we can put it, embedded inside of wood, which great, right? It sticks out. But on the other hand, if you look at on the inside, you only see this, right? So if this was a lectern, you lift it up, but you have this little bit of brass hidden in the back, and then we can probably hide it better, right? Aside of making a wooden hinge, which is a whole different conversation. I did that for a couple of little projects here and there, but right. So this hinge part is not, but this is kind of a neat idea, I think, to allow for a little bit. Plus, we can keep this roundness around the lectern, right, around the edges, so when people hold it onto it, right, it's not sharp things. Right? Some people are masochistic, so great, and there's Catholic Church produces more masochists out there than any other religion, I would assume. But the point being is, we can round this up, and we can match this roundness to this roundness, the sides, and this look up the same. Okay. So that's part one. All right. The side, I haven't figured out how tall this is, but the side will have to probably be acquired with how are you going to do the lighting if we are doing the lighting. It would be nice to have some kind of a LED lighting strip inside, so you have some light flowing down. The problem is, with lighting is, for anybody that spent way too much time reading books in bed, what's the biggest problem when you're reading books in bed? And you are a person that reads books in bed. Yeah, I know for a fact you do that. Maybe not now, but you definitely used to do it. So, right, so we have our low lectern, right? And then we add lighting, right? This will be the best. But this would be the worst, right? This kind of, God forbid, it's this way, right? Because that makes any crease in the book problematic to read. So this would be better, right? But that requires a height. and not everybody might need this level of lighting. And again, we dull the light down, things get a little bit easier if it's just a soft light. And so it will be good to have it, well, according to this, it will be good to have the light source about 4 inches off the edge of the table, right? Which means that our lectern will need this kind of base on the other side. And that's without drawers, without anything. And we are already at 7 inches of back panel, right? And again, there's more lighting. And again, we have the front roundness, which will be about there. Okay. So that's that's the thing. Right. And again, the lip to hold the book doesn't need to be big. Like this itself doesn't need to be very big. 3/4 of an inch. Now we have to make sure that this is well held because the pressure is going to be this way on it. People are holding to it, book sliding. So this needs to be held and it won't hold on this. So we have to make sure that whatever we glue, there's enough holding power going back. Okay. So that's about there. Right. So that's that. Now the lighting for the lighting recess, which is this part right here, that's a relatively simple job. We're just going to put a little nose, put some LEDs in there, right? And then that's going to be the back of the thing. We're going to make sure that this is not very long, so when the LEDs are they're looking more like this. So this corner, right? This corner needs to make sure this light, when it travels, it hits our roundness, right? So we got to make sure that this is the line, so it doesn't spill out. Because the worst thing you can do with this lighting is have it blow on somebody's, mid area and do a crotch cam kind of highlights. Yeah, 1 inch. So that's what? 1 inch. Sorry, 1 centimeter. That's what? That's about half an inch, right? So 3/4, maybe a half an inch. I want it to be a little bit bigger because churches tend to have older folks in it. So I want to make sure that this is easier for them to rest things just in case. Now we can of course make it a little rounder, something so things don't get stuck in there. But the point being is half an inch, which is what, 12.7 millimeters. Oh yeah, but yours lifts right, goes from 0 to 45. Here, this is going to be resting, and I'm thinking that is about the right angle. Right. Let's see if we can figure out what the angle is. Okay, where's my fancy angle measuring gizmo? Oh, here it is. So that's 0. So this angle we're thinking is what? Oh, Battery is dead. This angle is about 15 degrees, maybe a little bit less. 15, 17, in the 15 degrees range. And I think that's about there. And so this we can manipulate once we figure out the LEDs, whatever. And then on top, I'm thinking we give it a little step, and then follow the rest. And again, this is just going to be tiny enough, so you know. And then it's going to be the rest of this, and then about 15 degrees is about there. So right about there. Again, not too size, and then we put a hinge out here of some sorts. And then when you have a book, you get most of the sliding. Again, we probably have to move this up so the angles are better. That's the basic. And then I want to put a little drawer down here. So you have this kind of setup. My question is how big is this going to be? Well, we know that this, call it 2 inches. This is 2 inches. We know that this part is 2 inches. This is 15 degrees. How big is this thing? The thing is about 18 inches. So if this is about 18, and this is 15 degrees, and this is what? Call it X. That's a tangent. 18 divided by X, that's a tangent of 15. Maybe. Sine divided by cosine. So this is X divided by 18 is the 15. Okay. So let's see. Where's that? Tangent of 15 equals X. Tangent of 15 equals X divided by 18. So times 18 times 18. That makes this 4.8 inches. It makes this section 4.8 inches. So that's up to about here. So we have what? 5. So we have 9 inches already. Right, and this is starting to be big. All right. Right, and then we have to add this. So this hoping this is going to be. Okay, so that's something we're gonna have to sort out because 9 inches is already a lot. Right, 9 inches is that's starting to be sizable barrier, and that's before we got the light. We call it 10 inches. This is going to start to be feel big and bulky. Now, according to my notes, the base of the whole thing is going to be 21 by about 21 inches. That's the base, and the pulpit table about 23 by 18 to size, whatever. So that's the size of this. And so this is going to be about 18, and then that's about 23 inches. And then the expectation was that this would be 38, and the back of it, I think somewhere here, that part was 43 and a half, which we're gonna have to deal with. And the hopping is expected to be under 49 inches. And then I have a note here that's the stuff is about 7 inches, which is this section. So we're gonna have to print this section. Okay. And the last thing we need to do is have some mic attachments. So that's the last thing. Is I need to put in some pipe or something to have a standardized mic attachment with this standardized thread, so we can thread something and have one of those boom mics in there. So there's a mic for people talking. That's the basic idea. Okay. I think the 38 and the 43 and a half are the measurements from the pulpit that they have. But regardless, this is. You can always compress this, remove this one, compress this. So that's the top part. That's the ice. That's what we have here. I had a picture of a pulpit. I will have to let's see if I can find it. Yeah, my printers are disconnected. Damn it. How are we gonna deal with this? Oh, I know how we're gonna deal with this. I'm gonna go do the unseen thing. So you guys just bear with me. we print this? Print. Let's again save the image first. Save. Open it. Yeah, that's not how it's supposed to be. Okay, we have to edit this then. How do you edit in this program? What happened to my good old bitmap? Open it in bitmap. Because that's a program made for grandmasters. Edit with paint. First things first, we're gonna change the colors to make it all monochromatic. Can we do that? Image creator brushes. How do I make it single color? Oh, nice. Okay. It was not bad. Let's see. Grab the brush. I guess it didn't work. Oops. Oh, how do you highlight? Pencil, eraser here. The extra eraser, just remove that. Oh, it's it doesn't have to be perfect. Ah, Paint. Better program than Photoshop. What's this? Now we open it, and now we print it. Print. Portrait mode. I'm being lazy, so I'm printing the sketch on a thermal label printer rather than actual printer. I haven't set up the new printer I bought in November yet. You know, it is what it is. But I worked with worse detail. So here it is. You guys can tell the detail, right? There's like little lines and whatever, but that's the general shape of the thing that the client said they liked. So The whole thing is 5 inches. 5 inches. The top in this estimation is about 7/8. The base is about 7/8, maybe an inch, and then the middle would be 3¼ and then we have a little section right here. We need to address that section. That section is 3/8. That's the point. Right, so if we have an expectation that the whole thing is 50 inches, right? 50 inches. 50 inches, so 5 inches, it's 10:1. Right, so 10:1. So this means that our thing is, if it's 10:1, this is going to be 9 inches. 30 divided by 8 is 4, right? It's 4 inches. That's about 9 inches. That's about an inch and a half. And then the middle section, 3¼ times 10. It's 30. It's 32½. Let's see, 18 plus 32, 50. About right. Max 40. Right, but that's the proportions from the image we have as the one that client liked, right? So if we make 9 inches, how big is 9 inches? 9 inches is this much. That's a big base. I think the base could be easily 7 inches. So we make this 7 inches, right? We leave the top about 9, so leave this about 9. Do a lot. Then the middle part, like this, can stay at 32. Right now the front of this is 38. Right now the front would be 39 plus whatever it is, and the back would be 43. Maybe we make it 30. If we make this 30, then the top here is about the 38, 39 mark. That's about 2 inches here. We have space. It's going to be about there, and then the top of the angle is 5 inches, 5½ inches higher. So the top here is 43½, and that leaves us this. That's 2. That's 5½, 7½. So this is 1.5 inches. So lighting would have to be external. And then we look at this, and then this is a little bit over 1/8. There's a little lip here. 8. About 3/16. So that's about 2 inches. Done. Then add some views, whatever. That's the basic idea. So we have the top vaguely figured out. gonna have to compress it down to 9 inches, which means we probably gonna have to remove. The bottom drawer out. Cancel this section out, and that gives us 6 and with change, and then this is going to be about 3 inches. And then we notice that on the previous angle, they were going from 38 to 43.5, so they're looking at 5.5 inches of gain across 18 inches. So again, 5.5 divided by 18 equals tangent of alpha, so inverse tangent of this 5.5 divided by 18 gets us 17 degrees. Okay, so my guess wasn't bad about what the angle is going to have to be. Math isn't scary. It's a tool, like anything else, or language, or cheap beers. Yeah, gets you a headache if you don't know how to pace yourself. Right. So before we get to this, we have to answer this question. So what is this box? This box, the extension here is expanding so we can support the top. Now, this says it's 2 inches. So this is about 20 inches according to this, with the extension of 20.18 is what? 1.25. This is about 3/4 of an inch sticking out. 1/2 inch to 3/4 sticking out. All right, so this is sticking out. And then the thickness of the column is a little over half. It looks like it's 9/16. 90 divided by 16 is what? 90. My brain's starting to work. Divided by 16. 90 divided by 2 is 45. Divided by 2 is 22. Divided by 2 is 11. Divided by 2 is 6. 16 divided by 2 is 8, 4, 2, 1. It's about 6. Good. Okay. 6 times 16, 60 plus 36, 96, 5.5. So it's telling us that this thing here is about 5.5 to 5.75. Right. Yeah, about 9/16. 5 about 16. 5.66 to 5. But 5 and 5/8. By the way, this type of math is called finger math, and it's really important that everybody knows how to do it. I'm not saying this specific math, but the idea that you look at two numbers and you can guess the estimated quotient of them or multiplication. It's all of it is just you estimate things, right? But what gets you is people talking specific numbers, and if somebody tells you 100 and you're expecting 20, you did your finger math, you counted your toes, you counted your fingers, and you go like 20, and somebody says 25, you go like, okay, well, maybe somebody's a little special, They counted their nose and their phallus as extra, that's 22. Maybe they have an extra finger, maybe a weird ear, 25, whatever, makes sense. But if somebody tells you 100 when you're expecting 20, that's 5x difference, right? It's a big estimation error, right? Times 2 divided by 2, that's a guessing error. Times 4 divided by 4, it's starting to be a lot. But times 10, you're expecting 10, you get 100. Or expecting 1,000, you get 100. That's not a ballpark error. That's a serious issue. People don't think about it. So having an ability of, how divide 80 divided by 16? Well, I could have done, 80 divided by 16, well, that's a 5, and then 10 divided by 16, 5 divided by 8, right? There is a way to do it. But you grab whatever tool you have. Most of the things I do are somewhat inefficient, but they keep me rolling. So the big thing. Plus minus 50%, right? Get a dozen, get a truck full of eggs. Truck full. And I don't mean your pickup truck, where the only two balls are hanging on the back of the bumper. I mean an actual 18-wheeler. Well, you can guesstimate how many eggs are there based on the manufacturer specification of how big the boxes are. Are they going to stack them to the ceiling? Probably not. But you estimate, I don't know, 50,000 eggs or whatever, and then you work from it. And if somebody says, hey, there's 35,000 eggs, you're like, okay, that's in the ballpark. But if somebody says there's 9,000 eggs, you're like, was that thing empty or full? Or, maybe they stack them differently. Like, there's some assumption. This is one amazing things about statistics. In statistics, you have this idea that you have some population. And out of this population, you pick some extra points, some samples, right? There's a sample of another population. How do you pick the sample? Whatever, that's a whole different conversation. But you get some, you get some sample. And then you go do the following. You take this sample and using maths, right? Using maths, you estimate what the population will look like, right? If the population, like in this case, is very different, right? Questions. That's all it does. It provides you questions like, have I picked the wrong sample? Have I made a mistake in the maths? Right? Or is the population I'm trying to describe different than I guessed it was? Right? And if after your maths, the estimated population is mostly overlapping the other population, then you go like, okay, well then I can do stuff with it. And that's all there is. It's questions of like, hey, how is this working? And again, the bigger this is, so as the sample grows, the closest those things you have to be, right? You pick 10 people out of your city randomly, and you ask them for the average high school score on an exam, and you get some number. Get, you can be like, oh, the average student in the school gets this kind of score. Great, right? And again, you take the look and then you go. And that number, your number, could be very different from the actual realization because you could have picked up the 10 students that were smart, or the students that that were smart but didn't study, or the students that had hard time studying, or just didn't take the class, whatever. You work around. But if you take a large sample, 50,000 students, and your number is very different from what we estimated the population to be, uh, that's a big no-no. Like exit polls are one of those things. So in the United States or mostly the world, is when you don't know the election results right away. But what they do is they ask people that exit the voting booths who they voted for. And then of course some people will lie and whatever, but it's it if you take a large enough sample, 30,000 people, 50,000 people, and randomized sample, right? And you pick randomly, you not go only for white guys with a wife beater, big truck, and a beer in their hand, kind of thing. Well, just you mix it and match it. The 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 good rule of thumb is if exit polls differ, right? The exit poll results differ from the actual results by more than 1.5%, something's off. I know in Serbia, I think in Serbia, there was a voting for a president, and the international committee was looking at it, and the exit polls didn't match the actual results by, I think, 2%. And there was a big accusation about the fact that there was some shenanigans going on. But on the other hand, the exit polls between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders uh, in before the 2016 election in New York, I think the difference between the exit polls and the actual results was 11%. And that was like one of those, yeah, how big is the sample? And the sample was 53,000 people, or some ridiculous number like this. And that means that either they screwed up the sample, they were testing, you know, people that out of, say, rich neighborhoods or something, or whatever, or poor neighborhoods, or green cars versus blue cars, or whatever. But they weren't randomizing it, and that's why the things. Or we did all of this correctly, just somebody shifted the results. So yeah, the more you know, right? Yes. So we have the stick at 5. Right. So what are we doing about this real estate? That's a lot of real estate. Assuming we're gonna use 1/2 inch wood, let's guess we are going to use 1/2 inch. If we use 1/2 inch wood to make this, right? Then looking at this from the top, let's call it 5.5 for now, for easy math, and call this 1/2 inch, and call this 1/2 inch, right? If we do this, then we have presumably 4.5 inches of real estate in here. 4.5 inches this way, right? And if we leave it open, and that's a big if, but if we leave it open, then we have 5 inches this way. And 5 inches is starting to look like a size of a book. Now, again, this is a larger book, right? But this one's 7.5, no, 7.75. And so something smaller, we could be, yeah. But again, if we are doing this, I wouldn't do this across the whole project and then use this number for something else, something else. This is great for initial type, initial case. Back here, we have this space here that is 4.5 by 5, call it, that we can probably use it for. It's an idea. Not a lot of space. If we can enlarge these numbers, then we can enlarge this space, and that might be a worthwhile considering. Again, 5.5 inches or 5 5/8. That's not a very big column. That means that the column is that's not a very big column. And again, we are going to be putting a lot of weight on it because people are going to be leaning on that. So we may have to make it out of thicker wood, but that's 5.5 by 5.5. Now 5 5/8, yeah, whatever. The point being is this is the size of the column. Okay. Where the top is bigger by, what is that, 1/8? So it's bigger by a quarter. Quarter times 10, it's 2.5 inches, right? So the very top is bigger by 2.5 inches, so it's an inch and a quarter each way. How big is an inch and a quarter? Right, so that's the top of the box. Is it precise? No. But at this point, we don't care about precise. We care about getting the big strokes done. Because for estimating wood, we need the general strokes for things, and that's 2.5 inches. So that's 7/8. This is 8 by 8 inches, right? So that's the base of the whole thing, and then on top of that sits a monster that is 18. Where the center of this is. The center is here, and then the top of the thing sits a monster that's 18. So that big this way, and 20 23, so 11.5. So yeah, but that's the page this way. Like that's the size of the, right. So we have to stabilize this, and we can use this moment to do it. Okay. So that's this, and the base is 21, so that makes it 10.5. The base is 10.5. Base is just shy. We need to make the base massive so it doesn't, so the weight of this thing is down here, right? So if the weight of this is anywhere here, it's just going to tip over. And on wheels, possibly on wheels. Right, so if the base is, that's the base, right? And we put two wheels over here. We can put two legs here and four legs here and here and here. And then to roll it, right? We just tilt it up and then roll it. Or better yet, tilt it forward. Right, so this is when you're looking at it, you're looking at it this way. Right, so you tilt it back, lift it, and then you can roll it. Maybe. This mechanism is going to be tricky with this yet. But that's not our problem just yet. The problem is to figure out how much wood we need for this. Base is about 9 inches. 9 inches base. I think the way I'm going to mount this top piece to the bottom piece is by putting triangles like this. Inside for support. There's going to be triangles embedded in there. They're going to go into the column, and then it's going to end up getting glued, because the column is going to be, at least on the very top, it's going to probably look something like this, right? And then those triangles are going to get hit into this. Either those are going to be miter joints or something else, but there's going to be a piece of wood that has this kind of shape, and that's going to be glued here with probably some kind of a dado or a rabbit or something, and then this is going to just go in here. We're going to put a dado here and a dado here. Right, and then this is going to get mounted into the bottom of this. With, again, I'm assuming either triangles, or, and I'm going to mount these triangles to the top, so this is top support. And we're going to either mount these to the top and then slide them onto the base with glue, or and slide it onto the base, screw it, put in these, and then put the outside on top of the whole thing, and then cover it from the bottom. So I think that's going to be the way to do it. So we're gonna have the top, little little triangles. That's going to get put in into this column, right? And then we are going to add these support things. So 1, then 2, 3, and then on top of that, it's going to be probably 2 of those overall, and then we're going to mount the rest of the box, and then the bottom. I think that's going to give us the most, because then we can make sure that this is stable, and these things probably going to be a lot larger, big, massive things. I mean that might work for support. Either that, or we have to make this base thicker and then just groove these in and glue them in, and then put something down here to support it. Because adding this external thing, that's easy. Do a little spacers, and that's not an issue. This connection needs to be very strong. This and this connection, that's the other connection that needs to be very strong. But the way we make sure that this connection is strong is we run it all the way to the bottom. So we run this all the way down. We run this base all the way down, and then we connect it probably with vertical things. Then it just won't tip as much. Okay. So we know everything, right? At this point, we know everything. And if we know everything, then we should be able to guess how much wood we're gonna need. So how much wood we need. Let's see. Let's start with the column. The column will need, according to our notes, it's about 32 inches plus 9, maybe 7, whatever. 45 inches. So let's call it 4 feet. So the column is 4 feet by what? By 4 feet by, we said 5.5. So call it 4 feet by 6. And we're gonna call it 1 inch thick because actually no, we're gonna make it out of 8/4, and then we can squeeze 3 of them out. Because we wanna call it 1/2 inch. We cannot get 2/2 inch from a 1 inch because we have the cut mark, but we could get 3/2 inch from 2 inch ones, and then it's gonna be a little bit left over. So times 2 inches. And then the out, that's going to give us those 3, and then we're going to worry about the last one because the last one doesn't have to be yet. Plus we're going to need 4 feet by 6 inches by 1/2 inch. 3 inch, and then 3/8 is about 1/2 inch. Right, 3/8. Yeah, 3/8 is about 1/2 inch, so that's going to be about that. So we're going to do a bunch of cuts, right? Because 2 inches, you have to mill it down, so that goes to under 2 inches, and then you do cuts. So that's -1/8 per cut. and then you have to do at least 2. So 2, that gives us a 1/4 inch. So this is smaller than 1 3/4, and we get 1/2 inch. So minus 1.5 inches. That gives us less than a 1/4 inch. So we are not getting anything out of it besides that. Yeah. So we need this. All right. So that's 1, 2. Okay. Then we need the outside, and that's 4 inches by, it's on our plan it says 8, so I'm going to call it 9. So I have to trim things and whatnot. By 9 inches by 2 inches plus 4 inches by 9 inches by 1/2 inch. Again, there's stuff that's going to be adding up to it very quickly, so let's not worry about it just yet. Okay, so that's going to give us the face. I'm not worried about this little accent because it's 1.5 inches. We can master it from some others. Right, so that's the color. The base is on the surface. It says 21, so call it 2 feet by 10 inches by let's call it 2 inches, and let's make it 4 feet because that's going to be 4 pieces that are 10 inches by 1 inch, by 3/4. Right. So that's going to be the base. And then we need supports on the inside, which are 10 inches tall and by 2 inches. And we're going to need what? We're going to need the support. So we need, call it 1 face, 2 face, 3 face, 4 face. So call it 4 feet of it, ballpark of. And then we need something for the top, which is what? The top is going to be 9, and the inside is 5. That's 4 inches. 4 inches times 20, 4 inches times 20, and then the middle part. Call it 5 inches. Okay, you want to overestimate times 20, so call it 2 feet, 4 feet, 8 feet. No, it's too much. 4 feet. 5 inches times 2. That's the top. That's supports. And that's the sides. And that's the column. That's the color. We are probably going to need supports in the middle of it, but those we can, we're probably going to need supports in the middle of it. So this keeps on being square, but those we can do from the scrap. I'm not worried about that. Just right, the top. The top, we said we want the top to be 23 times 18. 23 times 18, what is that like? Call it 20 times 20. 20 times 20 is 400, and for comparison, 18 times 23 is 414, right? It's 20 times 21. 21. It's 420 square inches. And how many of those we need? Well, we need layer 1, layer 2, 2 layers. So the top is going to be 420 square inches times 2 at least. And then we need a back panel, which is like this panel, which is 23 by 10. So then we need 23 by 10, that's 230 square inches. This is what do you call it? Table top and drawer, and this is back panel. The front is going to be about 4 times 23, so the front is 4 times 23, or 100 square inches. That's the front. And then we need to do the sides, and we're going to make them square, so that's 18 times 9, 20 times 9, 200. So we need 200 square inches for the sides, times 2. So, and the long part is 2 feet, right? So that's the long part. Yeah. Well, let's see. The long part is 2 feet, so we need to at least 2 footers to make it happen. And so 2 feet, 420 divided by 840 divided by 24. That's that's 32 inches of that. So this will be 3 feet. Am I lying? 420 times 2, it's 840 inches, square inches, divided by 24, that's 35. Yeah, so that's 3 feet. Okay, so that's 3 feet for this. And now this is going to be 1 foot, right? 230 divided by 24 is just under 10. We're rounding up 1 foot. This is 4 inches. It's nothing about it. And then this is 1 foot. So to make this, to make all of this, we need something that is 2 feet by 3, 4, 5 by 5.5 feet. Again, you see me rounding up. The reason for it is because you constantly cut things, you constantly glue things, you sand things just fall off. So it's 5.5 feet by 2. Okay. So and all of it can be half an inch. Half an inch? Question mark? Maybe thicker? But this is all estimated for about half an inch. So this is what? This is 11 inches. Sorry, 11 square feet. This is about 11 square feet. And then we need at 1.5 inches So if we make this, if we make this, if we make this 2 inches thick, we can get 3 of those, right? So at 2 inches thick, we can get about 3 of these sections cut. 3 of these sections cut at 2 inches. So this becomes 4. Four square feet. And again, our wood comes in 10-foot planks, right? So our things come in 10 feet this way, unknown number of inches this way, and then whatever we decide here, and we're going to decide 8/4 here. So we're going to need half of this, about half of this thing, right? And this is 1 foot. If this is 4 square feet, this is 6 inches. That's about 1 plank. As this guy gives us a good estimate, because these two will tell us we need 8 board feet of lumber. So that's 8 board feet of lumber. Done. Let's look at these guys. So we can probably combine these two. This is what, 15 inches? 4 inches? 4 inches. That's going to be tiny, so let's not worry about this. This is what? This is 4 board feet right here. It's 4 board feet of lumber. This is going to be 2 board feet, rounded. This is, call it a foot here, a third of a foot times 2. This is 2/3 of a board foot, and call it 1 board foot for that. This is 4 times 1 times 2, 8 board feet for the base. 8 board feet for this, and that's what, half times a third times 2. So that becomes 1, and it's a third. So let's call it half a board feet. And that's assuming we can get things the right length, right? So let's see. 4, 6, 7. 7 plus 24, 31, 32. 32 board feet. 32 board feet, which means if those things are, say they're 10 feet by 6 inches and they're in the 8/4 range, 8/4, then that means we need 3 of those. We need three of those suckers to make this one go. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for being here with me. About 32 board feet. That's assuming no waste. I mean, there's a little bit of waste, but no waste. So we say 30% waste, that's 40 board feet. And 40 board feet, and where's my price list? What did you find out? Cost of maple is $6 a board foot, and we need 40. 6 times 4, $240. So 30 board feet, call it plus 30%, just in case. That gets us to 40 board feet, about, and $6 a board foot. That comes out to be about $240 plus tax and delivery. So that's made. If I do it out of other stock, there might be pre-cut things, and so that's different. We could try to make it out of oak and then put a veneer on it. It's $240 just to make that thing. That's the estimate. And then how much time it's going to take. Let's see. We have to mill the whole thing. So if we mill the whole thing, so slice it up, we have to run it through the planer, the jointer, cut it into pieces. That's I can do the whole thing in one day, 6 hours. We grab one of those. How big is this blade right here? So 2 by about by about 10 inches. So 10 inches, so that's 20 divided by 12. 20 divided by 12. Can we do it differently? 20 times 10 divided by 12. And what's a half plus a third, right? Half, that gives us 10 board feet, and a third gives us 2/3 of a board foot times 10, so that's 20 divided by 3, 7. One of those is 17 board feet, so I would need 2 more of these. And then 7 inches, I can't really use 7 inches. I need 5. Like my sizes are 5. A couple 9s and a 6, and a couple 6s, but I need a 6-7 inch thing, and I cannot use that. But we figured it out, so I can write out the quote. It can probably take me, 20 hours to do it? 20 hours. So what's that? 20 hours is 3 days. 3 full days. Well, not full, 3 days. 3 days. 20 hours is 3 days. 25 hours? 25 hours. That's what, 4 days? 6 hours a day? 25 hours sounds about right. $25. Mailing takes, just to cut the things down, will take 6, 8 hours. It's a lot of running through the machines. Call it 8 hours. That leaves me 16, 17. 17. 8 those 4 hours. 13. Putting it together 4 hours. 9. Cutting it to size, assuming I have all the things done. Yeah, 25 hours. 25 hours plus materials. Assuming that's not screw up, but I have spare maple, so I'm okay with being cautiously optimistic. This is wood. Hinges, $20, so I'm not worried about the hinge. Add the GE sales tax to it. GE sales tax to it, and then what? %. Sales tax, right? 4%, 4%, 4%. So we get $1,000, 40. So another 100. Okay. We have a number. Oh, and then we have painting. Oh God, we have painting. That's gonna take paint and then lacquer and oh, 10 hours painting. We have painting too. Oh. All right. Well, it's a whole day. So it's a week project. I have the good design. Okay. I can quote that. And then painting is poly plus stain. Oh. Once we make it out of mahogany, put a trim on it or something. Oh yeah, the trims. What about those? Maybe it's 30 hours. All right. Well, Jan has left. It's 9 p.m. I think it's time for me to pack up and go home. I still have to figure out the cabinet things. So, and for that, I want to talk to my wife and figure out what she is planning on doing with it. So, thank you guys for being here with me. Much appreciated. And I'll see you tomorrow. the fun doesn't stop just because it's Tuesday. No, tomorrow I have to. I think I have to take a phone call tomorrow. So that's on the evening side. But that's in the evening, so no worries there. Thanks for being with me, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay safe, and the third stream of 4 hours is ending. Bye bye.